Welcome back to another video. Today we're on the channel. We got a new project behind me. It's a 2010 370Z with like 50,000 miles, manual, 6-speed manual. It's got a leather interior. It's obviously, you know, it's not going to be a typical rebuild. There's really not much to do on it, but there's still some stuff that needs to be done just to make it look a little bit better. So for starters, the guy I bought it from, he said he was parked at a gas station and someone ripped off the gas cap. So we ordered a new gas cap. We got that coming in. It's still on stock suspension. So I got some lowering springs coming in. You could see these wheels, they stick in like a little bit over an inch front and back. So I got spacers for the back and spacers for the front. And then I got a lip for the car as well. So it's just gonna be a little like, just to clean it up a little bit, make it look a little nicer. After I do all that, I'm still contemplating. I might end up getting new wheels for the car, but we will see how it looks. Because in my opinion, 19s on these things, they look a little small. But we'll see when it's lowered down, it'll probably look a little better. But yeah, so we're doing lowering springs. We got spacers. We got a front lip and then that gas cap. So it's going to be just like a quick little, just to kind of spruce up the looks on this thing just a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna get started working on the 370Z. So when I bought the car, it had sat. The guy was telling me he drove it like maybe once or twice, like the 2 years he owned it. So the first thing we started off, I didn't record it, but I got an oil change done. Next, I'm gonna change out the spark plugs. I got some NGK, some laser iridiums. We're gonna throw in there. Just kind of a maintenance item. I don't know how it was maintenance before. It's kind of like a peace of mind thing for me. It just so I know that the spark plugs are new and the car's running at its full potential. I've never done them on a 370. I mean, I'm assuming I'm gonna have to take this brace off. Probably gonna have to take that off, and then I might have to pull the intake off, but we'll see. I don't think it's gonna be too difficult. It's kind of just, it looks kind of crammed right now, but I'm pretty sure once I take this main brace off, it'll probably free itself up. So let's get started on that. Spark plugs pulled out. This is kind of what the old ones were looking like. If it'll focus. Yes, right there. So like they don't look too bad. They're all uniform. This one right here, it's got like a little oil on the threads, but that's nothing crazy. They all look very similar, which is good. It means the engine's healthy. Like one cylinder's not working harder than the rest. And it doesn't look like they've been like pre-detonating or anything. It just looks like just normal wear on them. But so I'm kind of gonna say what I had to do. So that crossbar, it's over there. I got the crossbar over there just hanging out. Had to pull that off. To pull that off, I didn't have to. I thought I had to take. So there's a plastic piece right here. That kind of, you saw me taking it off, but it kind of covers all this up. It was held on with like 3 clips. I thought I had to take that off, so I took that off. And then I took the one off that side off as well. But I didn't have to take that off because there's a little cover right here that just, it covers up the last two bolts for the, it covers up the last two bolts for that cross member. But that thing just, if I can find it, you can see on the bottom, it's just got clips. It's just got clips on the bottom of it, so it was just like, it was a pain in the butt to come off. So yeah, that sits kind of, you know, over there, and you just kind of got to use some force and pop it off. I thought I was breaking it, but that's just kind of how it comes off. So I popped that cover off, got the last two bolts. I did have to remove the intake manifold, or not the intake. I had to remove the intake, the throttle bodies, and they were just some Allen heads. They were some Allen heads, some 3/16, some 3/16 Allen heads. So that came off pretty easy. I took that off each side, and with that, it's got like a rubber gasket, so like you don't got to worry about changing that. I took the intake horn off. Obviously that was just like some minuses because I have aftermarket intakes on this thing. And then after that, you kind of get a free shot to take off the coil packs. Each one is held on with the 10 mil. You unscrew the 10 mil, kind of pop it out, and then you have free access to the spark plugs. So it's not that bad. It's honestly, I'm probably like 20-30 minutes deep, and everything's coming off pretty simple. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna just grab these new ones. They are Iridium NGK DF 8H/11B, in case you guys need them. I'm gonna go ahead, slap these bad boys in, and yeah, we'll get this thing wrapped up and get to work installing the lowering springs. Just ran into town real quick, picked up a spark plug that we needed. Luckily they had it in stock. I know I called them over the phone, they said they had it in stock, but I've had that before and I show up and they don't have it, so they had it. So let's get this thrown in and get the car put back together. Got the engine bay all buttoned up, got the crossbar back on, all the plastics back on, all the clips back in, got everything plugged in. I just did a cold start just to make sure that everything was, made sure, you know, it ran after changing the spark plugs. Everything seemed to run fine. My lowering springs, because I ordered them, they should have been in today. They're not in yet, so in the meantime, I'm gonna just, they look pretty good on camera, but like these, the headlights are a little faded. So I'm gonna pop those off and give them a quick polish just to kind of, you know, clean them up just a little bit. So I'll show you guys the kit I'm using. So for the headlights, I'm gonna be using the Cerakote ceramic headlight restoration kit. You get it at any, like you could buy it at any Walmart. It's a really, for what it does, it's really awesome. It does a really good job of kind of cleaning up the headlight. So I'm gonna use this on these headlights, and I'll kind of show you guys a before and after of the comparison of what's going on. Passenger side coated. So just a kind of comparison. Here's the before shot, and here's an after shot. So you can see it's pretty dramatic. I can't talk today. It's a pretty dramatic difference for me spending 15 minutes, I'd say, maybe 15 minutes doing it done. So it'd be like 30 minutes on each side. So spending 30 minutes and getting that big of a difference, it's really, really awesome. Came in some Manzo lowering springs. I think the drop is 1.5 inches in the front and like 1.7, 1.5. I think it's a 1.5 inch drop advertised all around, which should be perfect with some spacers on this thing. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna get some jack stands under the car, get the car raised up. Probably gonna do the front first and then the rear, just to kind of not be tackling everything at once. So I'll get the front half raised up, drop the coils, get those springs put on, get it all put back together, and then move over to the back. Right corner off. It was quite eventful, honestly, but now that we got it off at O'Reilly's or like any parts store, you can rent spring compressors, which is just, it's basically what it is. It just kind of sits on the coil, you tighten it down, and it lets you take off the nut on top to swap the spring out. I'll be showing that in a minute, but we took off the upper control arm bolt, and I mean the nut is stuck on there, but where it's bolted on, it's stripped out, so that's about as far as the nut needs to go. So I need to find a new one of these, which not that big of a deal. It's kind of like a generic bolt, so not that big of a deal. But yeah, so we got the strut off. We're gonna put the clamps on here, kind of tighten this down, compress the spring, and undo this top bolt and swap out the spring for one of these guys, one of those guys right there. And yeah, let's get to it. back on, got the coil on the strut, and got everything bolted together. We got it all back on the car. I just kind of need to get everything buttoned up. But yeah, it was about like a 2-hour project getting the actual compressed the spring enough to be able to get the nut on top back on. I didn't think it would be so hard. I ended up setting it up in I have just like a press. I set it up in there and kind of put like a block of wood over the top, pressed it down, and that gave me just enough room to get the nut on, hand tight, and then just crank it down with the impact gun. So I'm gonna get this side buttoned up and move on to the next side. Got the passenger side all done. I got that all buttoned up. I wanted to get this driver's side knocked out. Probably took like another 30-45 minutes. So I got that knocked out. Got everything put back together. Got that stiffening bar put back in. Now I'm gonna hop on the rear and get those put on real quick. I had a spacer lying around, so I'll kind of show you guys. You can see that tire, it's pretty flush with the fender compared to over on this side where it sticks in like a solid inch. So I got 3 more coming in just like this, because I think that sits perfect. But yeah, so we're gonna hop on the rear and I'm probably gonna just get that knocked out. I might not even film, we'll see, but I'm just gonna get this knocked out real quick. That's gonna be a wrap for today's video. Got the spark plugs installed, lowering springs in, kind of did a full maintenance on the car, got it all looked over, got a lot done. Tomorrow I'm gonna start on, next video is gonna be mainly just getting the lip on, letting it like sit to the car, getting the lip painted, and kind of all that jazz. I will catch you guys in the next one.